This is Puppets by Arlie. I'm Arlie, and this is how you make a cardboard horse marionette out of cardboard, tape, and string. This is cardboard, tape, and string. First, take your toilet paper tube and we're going to cut some ears on our horse. So, I'm going to use this glue line as kind of a reference line, and you're going to cut about a little more than halfway up. And then you're going to cut an ear shape at a diagonal all the way off of the cardboard. Then you're going to come back in and cut a kind of sort of triangle shape. And you're going to cut the other side for the top. So then take your ears and bend them forward. Next, we're going to do a curve of the bottom cheek of the horse. So now I have a curve going on the underside. Next, we're going to do a neck. So make the neck about a little more of an inch across. It can be a little longer than the head itself. And then cut off the edges. We're making like a hot dog shape. So there's my neck. And then take your pokey stick and you're going to make a poke hole on each side of your neck. Then likewise, you will make a poke kind of in at the top of the cheek, bottom of the ears, on your horse head. So now I have a poke on this side and a poke on that side. Next, we take a little piece of string here. I have a big needle, but you could possibly do it without a needle. Just carefully thread the string in. So we're going to go through the outside of the horse head. Then we're going to go through the neck. And then we're going to go through the inside on the other side and pull it through. Then tie a knot on one side. And I have a video on how to do string tying. There's tying knots and strings. Check it out. And then on the other side, cut with a little bit of slack. And give that a knot, tie. And then we will reinforce our knots with pieces of tape. So tape one side totally down. Tape the other side totally down. And now we have our horse head. Give your horse head some eyes and a nostril, and try to make it even on both sides. And there we have our horse head. Next, take a piece of scrap paper for your body. Now, the neck hot dog is going to be embedded into the body. So, imagine it's down inside the body, and we're going to draw a horse body shape, which I'm just kind of doing a potato shape. And then do two legs. And then mark where the knees are on the horse. So we know our neck is going in there about. Cut out one of your legs. I'm making mine a little longer than I usually do. Cut out your body. And then fix this hole in your pattern. Just put a little piece of tape in there, and that will help guide you on the edge. And then also draw where your holes will be. Now this body first, take your toilet paper tube, and we're going to cut some ears on our horse. So I'm going to use this glue line as kind of a reference line, and you're going to cut about a little more than halfway up. And then you're going to cut an ear shape at a diagonal all the way off of the cardboard. Then you're going to come back in and cut a kind of sort of triangle shape. Then I'll need to make my holes, so I know where those are. And I'm going to line one up on one side. I got my holes marked. Now, flip this sucker to the other side. Now, cut this sucker out. Next, on the top of our horseback, first, take your toilet paper tube and we're going to cut some ears on our horse. So, I'm going to use this glue line as kind of a Next, we're going to draw some lines on which we're going to cut partially. So we're not cutting all the way. We're just breaking the top layer of the cardboard so that we can have a nice clean fold. So, then from here, we take the other part of the cardboard and we bend, 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 bend into a curve. And in theory, we should be able to pull it all the way across, which we can. Excellent. Now, I'm going to hold off taping this in because we'll embed strings later. Let's start by putting our neck in. Take your string and thread a needle. Go through one side. And through the horse's neck. Be sure you're taping it so that the horse's head, the ears are facing away from the holes that the legs will go in. And do a knot on one side. Tape that knot down. Flip this sucker over. Measure up. Put your belly piece in and measure up how much you need to make sure the string is not too short to span the width of the body. Tape that down. Let's set this aside and move on to legs. Now, this leg needs to be 2 hot dog shapes. So I don't have the full representation of the leg. And all 4 of my legs are going to be identical. I'm not going to do a different shape. So I have 2 leg shapes here. In fact, let's go through and make sure that these are even. And then I'll trace that one more time. I should have a hot dog shape with a hole for each side. Oh, and technically, since these are even, I guess I can just cut out one. And then, by the way, the thigh of the horse will have one joint at the knee and one joint into the body. And then the hoof part, the shin, we'll tape a marble to that. Actually, here's my little pattern hole punch, which is very helpful. So horses are quadrupeds, which means we need 4 thighs and 4 shins. So we will be cutting 8 of these shapes. 4 of the thighs will have 2 holes, and 4 of them will have just the 1 hole. So I'll do thighs first. And then shin. All right, next, go through and poke all your holes. Next, we're going to do all 4 knees. So on my design, I have kind of a fatter part and then a skinnier part. So I'm going to have the skinny part on the thigh be on the fatter part of the shin. So the fatter part on my thigh is going to be on the body. So same technique, make a knot, pull through, tape it down. Now, be sure on the other side here that you're not pulling it so tight that the leg can't move. Make sure there's still movement there. Tape that sucker down. All right, there's one. Next, we're going to tape 4 marbles to the hooves to create a system that weighs it down. So take the marble, so let's put a piece of tape on the edge, take the marble, put it at the very edge, and then fold up the tape around it. Then let's bring our body back. And we might want a tail. So take a piece of cardboard that is a good tail length. Wrap your string around. Then, from here, you're going to take your needle and another piece of string. And you're going to go under one side. And tie a few knots. Then flip the other side. And I'm gonna make this a little bit of a ponytail situation. Then find out where your horse butt needs to have a tail, kind of sort of at the top. Do one whole poke. Do another whole poke. Then thread each side into the hole pokes. Should have made it a wee bit longer, but that's okay. And then on the inside here, tie it off with several knots. Tape that down. And we have our tail happening. Next, I wanted to install the back strings. Now, keep in mind, this is a temporary cardboard marionette. You wouldn't do this if it were a more permanent paper mache marionette. You could do embedded strings or put in screw eyes. But since this is cardboard, we need to do this. So we have 2 holes on the top here. Go take your marionette, take a long piece of marionette string and I'm going to make a big stitch through the back of the cardboard. And make it so that they are even. An even amount of them is coming out the top. And then on the inside, tape that sucker down. Would be better if you could figure out how to put some knots in there, but you know. All right, now let's do some legs. You're going to have 2 in the front and 2 in the back, obviously. So go through the outside of one leg first. Go through one of the body. And then come through the other body. And then go through the other leg last. And do a little 2-inch check. Be sure that we're not pulling this too tight. And do a knot and tape it on one side of that leg. Oops, by now it was really far away. Let's try that again. Okay. Tape that sucker down. Okay. Got 2 legs on here. Excellent. Okay, so now we close up the body. Start with the butt first. Be sure not to get the legs mixed up into the body taping situation. And when I see I cut through a little bit on the top, so can reinforce that with some tape. But hopefully it doesn't pull out. Whoops! I taped my leg. Let's try that again. All right. Here we got our horse. He is a little fat. That's fine. And when I see my neck the belly is impeding my neck a little bit, so I'm going to cut kind of a triangle out so that the neck can go all the way down if, you know, for grazing or something. Okay, now the puppet is built. Let's move on to the control. All right, for my controls that are made out of cardboard, I like to make something that's more of a tougher cardboard. Let's start with a straight edge. Now, your Marionette controller needs to be a little bit longer than your actual puppet. So we're going to have a detachable headpiece and we're going to have a body piece. So for the first body piece, and I want a little bit off of the back because I want an extra string for the tail. So let's see here. I'm going to make my body piece for my puppet, and yours may be different. Looks like that's about 10 inches. So I like to make my cardboard controllers about 1.5 inches across. And I apologize to all of you who are in other countries and I'm not able to use centimeters. It is a smarter method to use the metric system, but I'm not used to it. Okay, so that's going to be our body. The two back strings are going to come up into this. And then these are going to be the leg strings. So what if we used, you know, it might be okay to use the same size for the legs as well. And I'll show you what I mean. And then what is that? That might work too. It'll look kind of like this. And then, in fact, that feels a wee bit long because these are going to be for the legs. So I'm going to trim these down a little bit. How much should I trim them down? Now, this is a little thicker. Maybe I'll use that for the back piece and these for the legs. And then I'm gonna take off 1 inch on both of them. Now, I don't know if you could tell, but cardboard marionettes are not exact. Okay, so there's my body piece. There is going to be part for the tail, and then the legs will be strung to this. So draw your 3-way notch system. Oh, and then for the tail, I can have 3-way notches here. And then we will have the back string of the horse here and here. So, cut those notches out. Tape one on. You can, if you're working on a cutting board, they have these nice grids on to help you keep it even. And as I'm thinking about it, let's make 2 holes, because we'll go in and back through and make a knot, like making a big stitch. Okay, so that's the body. Now, let's look at our head. So this needs to be that might be more than enough. So we're going to make kind of a T shape, and this will be the side of the head, and this will be the nose. And it's only supposed to be a little bigger than the actual puppet itself. So I'm gonna slice it down a wee bit. Okay, so this is my nose. These are my side heads. And that's just like a little bit bigger. So we'll go with that. And then do the notches. This part is the tail, and then the head, when you're not using it, can be paper clipped to the top. So these are the 4 legs, tail, sides of the head, and nose. Now we have the body string in, but let's put some other strings on. So we'll need nose, sides of head, and then 1 for each knee. Now horses, their back knees bend the opposite way. So we will account for that. So first I'm going to do the sides of my head. Get 2 pieces of string that are the same length. Do a hole punch that's as much at the side of the head as you can do. Got 1 kind of behind the ear. So for this, I got a curved needle. I think it might help bending around the cardboard pieces. So I'm gonna pull this around and I'm gonna tie it up. And get that on the other side. And then finally, take the nose, find the very top part of the nose, and do a poke. And send the string through there. So, we've got head strings. Now, we move on to leg strings. Now, horses, their front knees bend towards their head, but their back knees bend towards their tail. I'm going to do holes on the shin, on the thigh section. So many strings everywhere. So ignore these bottom holes. We want to string through the top holes. That is an example of a puppet builder making a different decision, which happens sometimes. This is my first animal marionette on this channel. Very exciting. Because quadrupeds have a slightly different stringing technique. And I will show you. All right, last but not least, we got a tail. All right, everyone. Puppet building is done. We are ready to string this sucker. And there you have it. That's all the steps you need to make a cardboard horse marionette. Thanks for watching.